happened in this particular case, you know, the police were called just after 10 o'clock.
Right.
One of the only survivor, Bobby Stevens, was able to run to a neighbor's house and was shot in the face. Yeah. Right, and he was able to run to a residence that was just to the east of Chucky Cheese and called the police. So the police came and they kind of split up. A number of police officers went to that location, and a number of them also went to Chucky Cheese. And there were paramedics that went to both locations too. And through their investigation, they found out that Nathan Dunlop had been there just before the place had closed. And so the police started looking for all potential suspects, and he was one of those.
Were there a lot of potential suspects in this case?
He was the most likely suspect because he had been seen there just before this had occurred.
So it was pretty easy to narrow it down to him? Or did that was that a long process to narrow it down?
That wasn't a long process. There was also someone who came up in the crowd and said that they thought that because of his anger, you know, one of the kids, because of his anger, his attitude, and he had talked about committing the murder, that they wondered if he wasn't the one who did it.
Oh, he had talked about it.
Oh, you know. Okay. So, you know, so the police were immediately on to Mr. Dunlop. So then it became a process of trying to locate him. And they went, they talked with his mother, and his mother was able to page him. Well, as a matter of fact, a number of his friends had helped him hide evidence.
Really?
Dispose of evidence. And gave him another gun. And so, of course, they were not cooperative initially.
Okay.
You know, after the homicide, he ran over to a friend's house that was just also to the east. He was right behind Bobby Stevens. But Bobby and Mr. Dunlop didn't know how close they were. And Dunlop actually ran by, we think, in terms of the path, the apartment that Bobby Stevens was in and talking to the police on. Then he went to a friend's house, Carl Wilson, and he left his coat with Carl. He showed Carl the money, and he talked about how in trouble it was killing the kids. And then a cab came. They called a cab, and they canceled the first cab because the police, the helicopters, and everyone were around. They then called a second cab, and the cab driver picked Dunlap up and then dropped him off. There used to be a bowling alley on Colorado Boulevard called Celebrity Sports Center.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was near where his girlfriend lived. So he was dropped off there, and then went over to his girlfriend's.
Did anything happen to his friend that helped him conceal evidence?
So that friend we filed charges on, right, as an accessory, assisting after the fact.
And what happened with that?
He ended up going to the penitentiary.
Isn't that fun?
Right. And then he went to his girlfriend's and changed clothes at his girlfriend's, and his girlfriend gave him some different clothes, and he left the gun there, as well as some of the money. And so...
Was that the one...
Tracy Leachman was her name.
Was she the one that the mom found the $200 in under the refrigerator and ended up...
Sometime later, right.
And was she also later charged with...
Yeah, she also went to the penitentiary.
Right.
And then he went to a friend's house, and that friend gave him another gun that was almost identical to the gun that he had used. And we charged that friend, and that friend ended up going to the penitentiary too. Actually, what they did was, now Mr. Dunlap is over at his girlfriend's.
Right.
The police talked to Mrs. Dunlap. Mrs. Dunlap had actually come to the scene too.
To the Chucky Cheese?
Right.
Why?
Because all the her other son Garland had worked there.
Oh, and so she was going to check up on him.
And well, and she just knew the people and went over there. And the police asked if they could talk to her son, so she called Nathan up on his pager. He calls her back, and she arranges for the police to go over and meet him.
Without him knowing?
No, she's talking to him. She doesn't know where he's at.
And is
And
she
so-
not aware, does she have, I'm assuming has no idea that he was the one who did this?
Oh, I'm sure she had no clue.
So she was just.
I'm sure she believed that you could never do something like this. How many people would think your son would do something like this?
Right.
And so then the son, or the police go over and give him a ride back to his residence, and the police talk to him for a while, then they let him go.
Oh, really? So I'm assuming at that time he wasn't the number one suspect in this homicide?
I don't know at this point in time, you ever have a number one suspect, you have many suspects, and your police are going
Just kind of.
after a wide range, and he was certainly one of those that they were concerned about and focusing in on. And so the police let him go, and then the next morning what he did was he took a bus back to his girlfriend's, and his girlfriend, Tracy Leachman, in the meantime had taken the gun and the money from Chucky Cheese over to her grandparents and stuck it behind a storage shed. So she had called him and said, you can pick up the stuff.
Did she end up getting charged also?
Oh, yeah, she went to the penitentiary.
So her mom, the two friends.
Well, so the way the story goes, so then Nathan Dunlop ends up going to Tracy Leachman's grandparents, which is real close to their house, picking up the gun and the money. And then he ends up getting a cab and goes to another friend's house and leaves the money. The gun gets thrown away, and then ends up leaving the money with a friend of his that he thinks is going to hold it for him. Of course, that friend is also a crook, right? So he spends the money. He spends the money, he calls his girlfriend up, and they go out and they spend money. Okay, is the way that all that works. And the gun is never recovered. We think it went into a dumpster and got dumped in some kind of landfill, that type of thing. So then Dunlap drops the money off and then goes to his other friend, and at that point in time gets another gun. He gets back kind of midday and is walking towards his apartment when the police in the meantime have gone back around and have confronted his girlfriend, because the police in the meantime this is all real complicated because there's so many things going on. So what has happened in the middle of the night too, the girlfriend, Tracy Leachman, has called her mother, who is a nurse at a nursing home, and told her mom that her boyfriend committed the murder and asked what to do. Okay, her mom is heard over the phone and making plans, and then gets off the phone and brags to some of her coworkers.
Brags?
Right.
Meaning?
You have to understand this is a different group. Okay, most kids, when they do something bad, they don't go to mom and ask how to cover it up.
So this is
right?
like, hey, my boyfriend shot these four people, what do I do to like save my patootie or whatever?
Right, and she says get rid of it. So that's why the girlfriend dumps the stuff. Okay, so then one of the nurses calls the police and leaves an anonymous message that she thinks she knows that Tracy Leachman and her mom have some information.
And I'm assuming at this time all this is being on TV, on the news, so all these people are...
Exactly, they all know about it. So then the police have gone back to the residence and confront both the mom and the daughter. And initially they deny, but then they admit. And they actually didn't take the police over to the grandparents' house. But of course, Mr. Dunlap has already come and arrived, already taken the gun and the money, so it's no longer there. Okay. So, and so ultimately then what occurs, Tracy goes to jail, that's the girlfriend. She goes to jail, and then while the mother, some months later, is cleaning behind the refrigerator, finds a wad of money, and she ends up spending the money. So that's why the mother gets charged as well. So there are quite a few people that ended up going to the penitentiary.
Now, how did they find out that the mother spent the money?
I don't remember 100% at this point in time. Maybe it's the mother admitted it. may have been it too.
Okay, so anyway, so now, just from the police have caught Nathan Dunlop and do they question him first before they put him in prison, or?
No, what happens then, remember they have talked to him in the middle of the night.
Right.
Talked to him, asked him where he was, they let him go.
Right.
By the next morning, they have talked to the girlfriend and the mom.
And have they
And they
admitted
know
by
the
that
whole
time?
story.
Okay.
Right. They know the whole story.
Okay.
So then the police go to Nathan Dunlop's residence, or actually, and they sit on the residence. Dunlop's not there yet,
So they're
because
waiting
he
for
hasn't gotten home yet, and they're waiting for him when he comes back. They arrest him.
And charge him with
First-degree murder.
And so that
Chucky Cheese. I don't know, but you better get an ambulance or a cop car there or something, okay? Put another call in for Chucky Cheese.
I remember waking up that morning because I had to go to school, and I woke up when she was still in bed, and that was the last time I ever saw her.
I came out to visit my mom in November, so we got to spend a good week together, and that was the last time I actually saw her.
We have several people down from the DOA.
The last time we saw Ben, he spends every summer with us, and it was this last summer. It was really truly special.
When did you decide that you were going to rob the place?
Probably like September, October.
Did you know that you were going to kill whoever was in there?
No. I got there around 9:20.
About 9:20?
Yeah. You know, I just noticed it was pretty slow, or, you know, there wasn't really nobody around and stuff. So I was like, well, you know, I could go ahead and do this, you know. And so I started looking, and I started thinking, well, I could do this, I gotta shoot these people. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll shoot. And so I started, you know, I was just, while I'm doing everything else, eating and playing video game stuff, I'm just keeping an eye on people, find out who's there, who's gonna be working, who it is they gotta shoot and stuff. And they all had one thing in common, they didn't know me. And because I didn't have no association with them, to me their life wasn't nothing, to me.
To you they were like what?
Their life wasn't nothing.
But I feel an immense sadness, a great loneliness, an emptiness. Sylvia is very beloved.
Through all the chaos and desperation of trying to save lives in the restaurant that night, the macabre sounds of the Chucky Cheese's music and the dancing animated figures on the stage. They couldn't get the music or the dancing puppets to stop. It was horrifying, one police officer said. Something you don't want to imagine. Bobby Stevens lived that night because he played dead.
He walked into the door, walked through the door, walked right up to me and shot me. What I remember seeing is him with a smile on his face. I remember him raising his hand, and then seeing the smoke and the sparks, everything like that.
Bobby was the fourth person shot that night. Margaret Kohlberg, the last.
When I saw the last couple at the counter, getting their little prizes and stuff, I went to the men's room.
You go into the men's room and you look in the mirror.
Right. You know, I was still kind of iffy on it. And then, you know, I went ahead and kind of, like I said, hyped myself up and came out and started shooting.
When you were hyping yourself up, what were you doing?
Just looking in the mirror like, are you really gonna do this? And I'm like, yeah, like, sort of like talk to myself.
And so you got hyped up and you walked straight out?
Walked straight out the bathroom. And shot Sylvia. And once that happened, it was all over.
Does it bother you that they're dead, Nathan?
No.
Why?
I guess because for me, death ain't nothing. I'm not afraid of death.
And you didn't take the time to think that their life was something
important to somebody else, right?
So you walk out of the bathroom. You've decided what?
People have to die.
These people have to die.
Are about to die.
These people are about to die.
I didn't see the salad bar. I didn't see, I didn't hear the music. It was like just blackness, just empty.
Sylvia, kind, sparkle, a shining light. Her family and friends adored her.
Where was Sylvia?
At the cellar bar.
Did she see you?
No. It was like she had a glow around her, so to speak.
So you just held the gun up and fired but looked the other way?
I knew where she looked. I knew where she was standing. I knew she didn't see. And in my head, so I seen the target, so to speak. And I placed the gun there. And I know she got shot. When the first shot went off, everybody jumped, including me. And like I said, I mean, it happened so quick. Before Sylvia even hit the ground, because I heard her fall, I had already shot. What's his name?
Ben, how far away from him were you?
Probably closer than we are now.
Ben Grant, fun, loving, full of life. He was part of so many people's futures.
I remember the sound went off. And when he jumped, I jumped because it scared me. I shot him. And I spun him back the same way he was coming around, and spun him the other, back around the same way. And that was the last thing I saw. I never saw him hit the ground or nothing. And then, I was already turned around, going toward Colleen.
Colleen, she was 17. Strong, vibrant, funny. They miss her so much.
And Colleen saw you coming?
Yeah, I don't understand why she sat there and watched. I was expecting her to run, but she didn't run. That's why I turned around so quick. But she didn't run. She stayed right there and just watched.
And what happened if she had run?
I would have shot her.
Did you ever have eye contact with Colleen?
Oh, yeah. That's what brought me kind of down.
Did Colleen say anything?
She's like, no. She shook her hand like, no.
But she did say no?
Yeah, she said no. That's it. She didn't beg for her life or nothing like that.
What if she had, Nathan?
When she said no, she sort of begged, She sort of begged. And it pissed me off because it kind of like bought, people gonna say I don't have compassion, but I know I got compassion. And it brought this compassion now. I'm like, why you doing this to me? Why you trying to make me like you? It's easy to shoot you when I don't like you. And it's like, why you trying to make me like you?
Because she said no?
When she said no, it's like she kind of begged, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you just sit here and watch me shoot two people. What do you mean no?
Do you understand why she was looking for compassion?
Oh, yeah, I totally understand. I agree with her and everything.
Nathan, why?
What?
Why did you kill them?
They were witnesses to a crime. That's why.
Did you have any feeling?
I had no feelings at all.
Excitement?
No excitement, no nothing.
But Colleen brought that back.
Right.
And what were you thinking at the time?
I didn't have no choice.
Why? Everybody always has a choice.
Because she had seen me shoot two other people.
It is going to be inconceivable to people who finally hear this that you didn't have any feelings about human life.
I didn't have any feelings about human life until after I shot Colleen.
And what did you feel?
I felt like, how can I do this? And I was like, well, you started, you gotta keep on finishing.
And when you thought, how could you do this, what did you think of yourself?
I was just sad. I'm not explaining to you. I was just sad.
But you kept going.
Because I had to finish it. I had to finish.
Bobby Stevens lived. He wants the families to know how hard he tried to help them and how sorry for them he is.
You fired, he ducked.
Yeah.
You hit him.
Yeah.
Did you think you killed him?
No, I knew I didn't kill him.
Why didn't you stop and shoot him again?
I don't like blood.
You don't like blood?
No. I would have to, if I was to do that, I would have to sit there and watch him.
Margaret Kohlberg was a mother, a wife, a best friend. Radiant, supportive. Life without her will never be the same.
Went to the office, and Margaret looked up and said, "Can I help you or something?" And she saw the gun, and that's when I heard Bobby get up and run out. Had her open up the safe, and I shot her.
And Margaret was still alive.
I didn't want her to suffer or nothing. That's why I shot her a second time. I didn't shoot her because she was going to identify me or something. I knew she was messed up already, and I didn't want her. She sounded like she was in pain. So that's why I shot her. Again.
And you walked out of Chucky Cheese's?
Jogged, ran.
He left, went to a friend's and counted the money, then to his girlfriend's. Both places, he thought the same thing.
I heard her bleed. 4 people died. And basically, to me, their lives were only worth $300 or $400 a piece.
You see a lot in their faces: humor, courage, fear. But there is something else most of us don't have: a weariness, a pain, a haunted look. It comes from being the family and friends of someone killed suddenly in a violent crime. They are here to see if seeing Nathan Dunlop talk for the first time about killing someone they love very much will help at all. Here's part of what they saw.
If you had to use one word or 2 words or 3 words to describe what you have done in killing those people, what would those words be?
It was wrong.
It was wrong?
Yeah. I shouldn't have killed them. I shouldn't have robbed them. I should have just left them alone. They didn't do nothing to me.
If you were to get out again, would you kill?
No. Not unless they stood in the way of something. If they was hurting me, I'd kill them, yeah. Wouldn't take no problem.
Do you realize how cold that is?
Yes.
And what do you think of yourself as a result of it?
I still don't have a problem with it.
Would you describe yourself as a human being?
Yeah. I'm breathing, my heart's pumping and everything.
Do you have a soul? Do you have a conscience?
Yeah, I have a soul, I have a conscience. But who cares what the people think about me?
Should you have killed Sylvia?
No, I shouldn't have.
Should you have killed Ben?
No.
Should you have killed Colleen?
I shouldn't have killed anybody. I shouldn't have robbed that place. Fact is, I did, though.
Should anybody care about you?
I really don't care if they do or not.
Let me ask it this way. Why should anybody care about you?
I don't care. You don't understand. I don't care about nobody. I don't care. I don't care about anybody watching this. I don't care. The only people I care about is my family, my friends. That's all I care about. I don't care about nobody else.
Do you have nightmares about this?
I did.
What were the nightmares like?
Just replay everything that happened.
What should your penalty be?
If you want to make me hurt, life in jail. But still, I'll figure out how to make that better for me.
Why not death?
I ain't afraid of death. Death ain't gonna bother me.
Life in prison because?
I gotta sit here and basically rot to death.
What happens when you say that you believe in life ever after, you believe in heaven, that you believe you'll go to heaven? What happens when you see Sylvia and Ben and Colleen and Mrs. Kohlberg in heaven?
Hopefully they'll forgive me. But I gotta keep going on. If they don't, I gotta keep going on. I'm not gonna let them bring me down.
In heaven?
Wherever I meet anybody, as anybody. Somebody wants to, you know, I want to apologize and stuff, but I can't do nothing about it. That's all I can do.
Nathan Dunlop believes the death penalty is used more out of hate and revenge than anything else.
If you want to kill me so bad, then come do it. That's my attitude.
Isn't that kind of a macho, bravado type thing?
It ain't macho to me or nothing, but I'm not saying it's macho or nothing, but point fact is, I killed 4 people. I almost killed a 5th. I want them dead, and they're dead. Come kill me then. If you think you could take my life, come do it. I'm gonna take yours before you take mine.
Maybe seeing this gave the family some relief, but maybe not. Only they can tell you.
I was watching that in disbelief. He was proven guilty, and now that he's been proven guilty, he presents the truth. He presents what actually happened.
It went right exactly along with all of the testimony that came forth in the trial.
It helps to hear him say it. Now the mystery of that night has been solved. We know what happened.
There isn't any sense to be made, and that just confirms it. When you sit and listen to it, it's that I don't get it, I don't understand it.
I have different feelings about whether he's going to heaven or not, but he must meet his Creator, and I feel that he will be meeting Sylvia and Colleen and Marge and Ben also, and that they may have some choice words for him. They may have already forgiven him. I don't know. That's their business. I have not forgiven him, but at some point I would hope that I will be able to.
Nathan Dunlop's sister Adenia and her husband Darius don't understand either. Adenia Ashlock didn't believe her brother was guilty. She was very quiet as she watched his confession. Her husband was so upset that he left the room for a while. A sometimes controversial couple, they complained of police harassment after Nathan's arrest, but stayed in Denver to support him. They still do.
I still love my brother. I love him very much, and this doesn't change my opinion of him.
Nathan's words opened her eyes to what she did not want to see. Now Adenia wants other families to look to themselves.
I hope that they don't shut themselves off to reality, because it's my reality that if my brother could do something like this, then anybody could, because I know my brother and I know him inside and out. And I would never have imagined or dreamed, unless he told me so, that he could have done something like this.
2.5 years ago. This was Nathan's room then, how he left it the night he went out and killed. Police helicopters built out of Legos, and boats and cars. Nathan wanted to be an aeronautical engineer or a firefighter when he grew up. Instead, he grew up to be a mass murderer. Once, a long time ago, he told me everybody has a dark side. Sometime he told me, I'll tell you about mine.
So most defense attorneys are against capital punishment?
No, I don't know what the, breakdown of opinion on that issue is as far as defense lawyers are concerned. But I would expect that 99+% of lawyers that are involved in the defense of capital cases are opposed to it. Why in the world otherwise would you do it? It's certainly not for the money.
How many have you tried that have been successful, that you've gotten the person being tried, like they have not been convicted of that?
Yeah. Well, I've only done about half a dozen capital cases, and Nathan is the only client I've ever had sentenced to death. I've done probably 24 first-degree murder cases. And, I actually don't keep track of them. I won one last August. I got a not guilty verdict. Look up on my wall. I've got several not guilty verdicts framed up there. But Nathan Dunlop's the only case where I've gotten to the conclusion and received a death sentence.
This is, I'm not trying to seem redundant, but have your personal views on not just mainly capital punishment, but kind of in any cases that you have tried, are your personal views and your morals and ethics always in accordance with what you're fighting for? Or have you ever been forced in a position, like maybe you're appointed a case that you're fighting for what you don't really believe in?
Well, again, that's a complex question. In the United States, we have an adversarial system of justice. I don't happen to think that it's the best system. I've spent a fair amount of time in Europe. I've taught universities there. Their system is an inquisitorial system. Frankly, I think it works better than ours. But in the adversarial system, the theory is that the government presents a case, an advocate for the accused attacks that case, and from the clash of the advocates, the adversarial system, the truth is supposed to emerge. Okay, so I have a job to do. I'm supposed to attack the government's case. And I'm not the one to decide, you know, who's guilty, who's not guilty. That's not my job in the adversarial system. My job is to provide the test. My job is to challenge the government's case. And if the government's case passes the test, so be it. If the government's case fails the test, it means he didn't have enough proof. So I'm divorced from these moral questions of you know, who's guilty and who's not. That's not my job. That job is either the jury or the judge's job. My job is to provide the test to the government's case.
So you kind of see as far as the trends in capital punishment in the United States in the years to come?
Well, I think one trend is the system that we've gone to right now, a three-judge panel. And a number of actually Western states have gone to a system where judges make the decision. And we went to a three-judge panel for reasons that you kind of enunciated, that it's difficult for people who've never had the experience of making a decision like this to make that decision. And many, in the Dunlop case, jurors afterwards came up to me and said they asked why it wasn't a three-judge panel. And for them, it was because although that law had passed, it does not apply retroactively. It's ex post facto. And
Keep hearing that.
bye-bye. See you later.